Good morning, everyone. Today is another episode of Arks Trash, which is my podcast, which means it will be audio only. However, I have prepared some B-roll for my visual listeners out there, so you guys can enjoy the B-roll. Now, today's episode is a special episode because we have two guests today. We actually have Skull's Nightshade as well as Chrono Catastrophe. So, yeah, it was a lot of work to edit this because there's so many different audio tracks, but I think it is a fantastic episode. Now, disclaimer, in today's episode, we talk about each ship because all three of us have played on every single ship. For those who don't know what a ship is, it is literally a different server because in PSO2, there are 4 servers to choose from. And so we talk about which one we prefer as well as what we recommend for each type of player. Now, the disclaimer is, of course, this is all from our personal perspective, our personal experience. So it is not indicative to, oh, this is how ship 2 is because, you know, Caro said so. It's not all inclusive like that, okay? Just that disclaimer, gotta put it out there. But before we jump into the video, if you're new to the channel, I upload NGS content daily. So if you do play this game, I would really appreciate a subscribe as it really helps out the channel. Anyway, without further ado, let's begin the video. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Arks Trash. Today I am joined with 2 special guests, Chrono Catastrophe as well as Skull's Nightshade. So Skulls, would you like to introduce yourself first?
Sure. I am Skull's Nightshade. I am a VTuber and I play on ship 3. That's my main ship. I do have alts on other ships as well. That's about it.
All right, perfect. And Chrono, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Chrono Catastrophe. I obviously play PSO2. I am also a VTuber who primarily plays on ship 2. However, I maintain an alt on ship 3, a character on ship 1, and working on a character for ship 4.
All right, perfect. So as you guys have probably can tell from the title, today's main topic is going to be about all the different ships as well as like our first-hand experience because all 3 of us have played on all 4 ships. However, before we jump into that topic, I want to touch upon the new updates first. So, you know, Waker class is out. Skulls, I know you've been playing a lot of the Waker class, and you even say that you're going to be a Waker main now. So tell me about your experience.
I don't know what else to say other than I love it because it fits my playstyle. I used to play Force as my main. It's still my subclass now, but even when I played Force, I played between being like ranged and being kind of in the middle of everything and using AoEs. So it definitely fits my style a little bit more than Force does. It's really fun. I think if you haven't tried it, I mean, you should just give it a try, even if it's just for like an hour.
For sure, for sure. What about you, Chrono? Have you tried the Waker yet?
Yeah, I've got it at 60. It's a class that realistically everyone should probably level at one point in their lives as far as playing PSO2. It's in the list of like, if you want to optimize, you have to level this class eventually because it's one of its skills is extra PP, so it's very, very useful. That, and I think it's going to take over like the most, and no offense to any Waker mains out there, probably the most brain dead way to farm now if you want to farm tons of enemies because its AoE skill it's got on the dragon pet is basically homing darts on like crack. It's insane. It's so big and it does so much damage so easily. You, like, turn brain off, hold button, you get free damage.
For sure. I can definitely see the Waker class being the new class for farming PSE bursts at like lower rank areas and stuff like that. But the real question is, do you think it will overtake the Force? And I want to direct this question to Skulls first.
Yeah. I didn't want to think so at first, but it definitely is really good, like as far as the AoE attack. Like someone like me, I think I would still maintain like using Force as well, just as much. But I think you could, like if I had to choose between Waker and Force, I would probably choose Waker. And it is by a small margin, but yeah, it definitely would take over.
Okay, interesting. So personally, I think most players are probably just going to go Waker Force, right? Force subclass so that you have access to text. Is this a correct assumption?
Oh yeah, beyond belief.
Yeah.
It's a given. Like any class you're farming with, you're gonna sub Force, like no matter what the situation is. And Force is always great because it had access to press one button, chain a bunch of enemies.
Yep.
Now Waker has hold one button, chain the entire screen in front of you. Like, it's not even close.
For sure, for sure. So since we've seen this direction of the new classes, you know, the new updates with the Braver, where Braver felt really good, and then now the Waker also feels very good. Can you guys pinpoint what exactly makes these classes feel so good? I want to direct this to Chrono first.
Well, Braver, it's one of those situations where it just has access to everything it needs, no matter what the case is. Like, it's got access to, as a melee weapon, right? Katana, or even that, like, honestly, bow. Like, I've even talked to people who play bow as their primary, and I always ask the question, like, what are you missing? Like, what would you need to feel complete? And the thing I always get from Bravers primarily is nothing. Like, I have everything I need. In most situations, maybe it's not always, interesting, but you have every tool that you need. Waker is in the same situation where realistically the class itself doesn't need anything. Like, it has everything that it can use. Some people feel certain ways about certain attacks having, some animation lock. I have a difference in opinion in that situation, and Braver's a great example of that, where you have opportunities for animation locked attacks versus, a little bit, animation free attacks. I'm sure, Kara, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I think it's like Lotus versus something else.
Yeah, Silverleaf Storm versus Lotus Lightning.
That's the ones. Yeah, like you have access to two different PAs that, one with high commit but hard animation lock versus low committal but still decent damage. Waker has a lot of that with its held PAs versus like just the spamming options, and that feels really good. It feels good to feel like your weapon is complete, like you don't need anything extra. Where there are other weapons in the game where you feel like if you don't multi-weapon this other weapon along with it, it feels like it's lacking something. Like you don't have access to being able to deal with incoming damage, or you can't do great AoE, or you can't use a certain portion of your class very well because you don't have access to that extra weapon along with it. And Waker and Braver don't have that problem.
So speaking about weapons, I want to direct this to Skulls. You have made your Kaiser Harmonizer, right?
Yep. As soon as I logged in.
Yeah, how was that journey of making it?
It was pretty easy. So, like, you don't need the Rocks weapon because a Rocks Harmonizer doesn't exist, which is nice. And I spent the time before this, instead of just like jumping in and getting my Kaiser weapon immediately, like most people did, I just held on to my stuff that I needed for it, my materials, and yeah, I was able to do it like pretty much as soon as I logged on.
So I heard that when you were augmenting, you suddenly lost all of your augments for a while. What happened there?
Well, that was just me being brain dead. I mean, I've never used an augment protection before, ever. Like, I've had them, I've been holding on to them forever, and I didn't realize that even if all of the other augments, like let's say you're putting on 5, because I was putting on 5, so even if all of the other augments stick, the one that fails makes them all go back to your inventory. So they all went back to my storage where they originally came from. And I thought that they stuck to my weapon because I saw the successful thing. So I freaked out. Like, Chrono said he could hear me from the room.
Oh yeah, hardcore. We're both streaming and I can hear her from the opposite room just losing her mind. I'm like, oh, this is not good. Yeah. Please let this be okay. I didn't find out about the augmentation protection until later. And I was like, yeah, no, that's how that's supposed to work.
And I have like millions of dollars of augment capsules that I put on there. Like I have an Addy that I bought. I have like Dev Tech and stuff like that on there. So I was a little upset because I thought all of that was just gone because of a bug. And I would have been so sad.
Well, on the bright side, at least you didn't lose everything. And yeah, you also learned that how the augment protection works now.
By form of heart attack.
Fair enough. Okay, Chrono, was there something you wanted to add?
I mean, as far as the Kaiser situation goes and everything, it kind of just like, it lends itself to the system of just waiting. Like, I know a lot of people knew about Waker on the way. I had talked to Skulls earlier on, like, hey, look, are you planning on playing Waker? And she's like, yeah, for sure. It's like, well, maybe wait. Don't make your Kaiser immediately. While it is very useful, you do tons of damage. I mean, we've shown time and time again. Myself, I know, Carol, you've shown it. Other creators have also shown it. Like, you don't need the top of the line weapon to be able to complete all of the content in a reasonable manner. Like, you can get by just being smart, playing your class well, and, just doing what you have to do. So it was like, hey, you might end up liking Waker, just save your stuff. anyone who's been playing since Kaisers came out would have had enough to get their would have had enough Blizzardium to get their Waker weapon and then some, actually. So realistically, it's a situation where they did the best thing they possibly could by not making a Rocks weapon. They just saved people millions, because I'm sure there were plenty of players out there who were looking forward to just farming that one boss and then just making life terrible for all the new Wakers trying to get their Kaisers, because they won't be cheap for a very long time.
Yep. I definitely think Sega made the right call here with just removing the requirement for the Rocks harmonizer, or just, not making it exist, because for the first 2 days, you guys saw the market for just random harmonizers going for millions of Meseta. It was ridiculous. So I'm glad that Sega did make that change. Was there something else you wanted to add, Skulls?
I totally agree with that. I feel like some people are upset because they did have to use rocks for their other weapon. But again, I think the thing was, a lot of people who were ready to make the harmonizer day one were patient. So either way, it was kind of the same grind in a sense, because you didn't have the opportunity to get it before. And again, the market would have been completely messed up for people trying to make that weapon, because they would have had to wait even longer for those people to get more drops and for the prices to drop in the market. So yeah.
So, that's pretty much the Waker in a nutshell. I think the Waker is a great class, very accessible, very easy to learn, and definitely has its strengths in just farming, and is an all-inclusive kit. So I think the Waker is definitely a very great class, especially if you're just, coming in new and you don't know much about the game. I think Waker is a great class to play, but for me, it's still going to be Braver for sure. And what about you, Chrono? Are you still going to be Bouncer main? You're not switching over to Waker, or you're thinking about it?
There's no chance in any situation that I ever let go of Soaring Blades. At this point, I'm just too invested. I think if I ever left the weapon, it might just cause Sega to delete it from the game, because at that point they've realized that there's no saving it. No, in all seriousness, no, I'm sticking to Bouncer. As far as Waker goes, I mean, even its damage, man, is really good. People have already posted Kavaris purple trigger solos, and Waker, I think it was day 2, is pushing 18 minutes. And granted, that's not amazing. I think Bouncer Soaring Blades has, I want to say 16 and some change, but that kind of puts things in perspective. Even this class that is brand new, people don't know a ton about it. As soon as people have optimized, they're just going in. Now, part of that does have to do with add-on skills and all that stuff. I'm sure we'll get around to that, but it definitely is holding its own. It can actually do content very well. So Kira's right. It's very accessible. It's really cool. It's really fun. Not to say anyone plays like this, but you don't have to be perfect to play Waker. You can just spam buttons and eventually things just happen. And that's not a terrible thing to have for some classes. As long as there's some optimization in there, that floor needs to exist for everyone, because not everyone plays PSO2 to optimize. They play to have fun, and Waker's just fun.
Actually, I want to ask Skulls, have you tried using simplified movement on the Waker yet, by any chance?
No, I actually forgot that was a thing. I am going to play with that now because I feel like the way that the PAs work, I think that would be fun. Hopefully not an option people just exploit to be lazy, but I think it would be fun just to mess around with, in combat zones and things like that.
Yep, for sure. I definitely think that simplified movement is actually going to be a viable strategy for the Waker, simply because the Waker is just so versatile, and it's just such a good class. And it's an all-in-one package, in my opinion. But we need to move on to the next topic, and that is, of course, the add-on skills. So again, I'm going to direct this to Chrono. What do you feel about the add-on skills?
So there's two camps, really, with add-on skills. There is the camp of oh my god, these skills are awesome. There's so much being added to the game. There's so much power being added. Power creep is kind of scary, so that's something to keep in mind. But then there's also the camp of people that are a lot of these skills should just have been base parts of the game itself. Instead of fixing something, they just added a skill for it, and there's RNG involved. I'm kind of somewhere in between. I can understand some of the concepts of certain things should have just been added as baseline skills. But realistically, as easy as it is for add-on skills to be a thing, it's not difficult. It's not like you have to go, it's some crazy RNG, you need millions and millions of Meseta. With the minimal effort, you can get a lot out of add-on skills. So because it's that way, I'm totally fine with them, and they're actually a lot of fun. They make some of the glass cannony playstyles actually viable of like, for the regular player. Things like going full Belgren and not being frozen in a single hit, not being shocked in a single hit, like the defensive options that you're getting from just the secondary skills and add-on skills are insane. Huge value. And then it takes the players who want to go a bit more defensive, that they don't feel super comfortable or super safe all the time, it takes them even tankier. Things like the damage reduction on Tekker from its add-on skill, and having HP as a viable option in every single set of add-on skills for all of the classes is insane. And on top of that, it's just a free try boost for every single class that comes out. So every time a class comes out and we get another, like by the time we get the Gunblade class, everyone that has all of their has at least one add-on skill unlocked per class, they have a free 10% try boost, which is awesome. I'm all for it.
Explain the try boost. I don't get it. What, there's a try boost?
Sure.
What's up with that?
So for every add-on, for every class you've unlocked a single add-on skill for, if you actually go into your character sheet and you go, it doesn't tell you this, which is kind of funny. It might in the help menu. I have to double check because I haven't looked at that yet. But if you go to your character sheet, you go to like your character information and look all the way at the bottom, or you might have to go to sheet 2 depending on how many buffs you have up. But there is a add-on skill try boost that gives you extra experience, extra EXP, Meseta, and rare drop rate per class you have a single add-on skill unlocked for, and it's permanent across your entire account. So by the time the last class comes out, like our Gunblade class, everyone will have a permanent 10% try boost all the time.
Okay, I did not know that. That's really interesting. That's good to know. Next up, I want to ask Skulls, has the add-on skills changed the way that you played the game, or like, how's your build now?
It has changed it a bit because I feel like as a Force player, especially, I would have to make sacrifices with certain things. So I'm either sacrificing my potency or I'm sacrificing my amount of health that I have. And the way that I play Force, like I said before, is I do like the range, but I do like to be inside of the action. And that's why I like to do things like PSE burst, because I love mob fighting. But with low health, it does really suck doing that because you're like one shot killed, or you don't get any resistance to being frozen, and then you get killed. So it definitely has helped with that. Some of the roles that I've gotten, and again, I do agree that the try boost thing is pretty cool because it gives you a chance, and it kind of encourages you to try other classes, even if it's just to get that one role for the try boost. Like it encourages you to try new things.
Mm-hmm. So how far have you progressed through the add-on system? Do you have all of your classes at 60 already, Skulls?
Nope. Definitely not. I kind of pick a class and I stick to it. But I do plan to play all of them to at least 30 so I can get one cube for each, so I can at least roll one skill. And then, I might find something else that I want to play with Waker, because now that I'm not depending on Force as my main class, I feel like I have an opportunity to try new things as far as how I play PSO and how I play my main.
Mm-hmm. I think a lot of players have the same mentality as you, because I'm in the same boat. I'm Braver for life, and I only play Braver most of the time. I literally have two classes at 60. I have Braver and I have Force. And all the other classes were like level 20 because I just never played them. And so, I'm definitely in the same boat where I was just like, all right, I'm just going to get all of my classes to level 30 by putting them as subclass, and I'm just going to play Braver and run yellow triggers. And that's all I did. And when I posted my video speaking about or explaining how the add-on skills worked, a lot of people had the same mindset. They're like, they didn't like the system because they were like, Sega's forcing us to play the classes that we don't want to play to get them to max level, blah, 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 to get these X cubes, or the class X cubes. And so, Chrono, I want to ask you, with the new Cannonball, whatever it's called, coming out next week, do you think that it's going to be, maybe we'll get class X cubes from doing that or not?
I think they are going to, give some excuse to having class X cubes just kind of drop. I really feel like it's going to start popping up in the treasure shop, actually. So it's something that happened back in base PSO2, and as we know, Sega likes to repeat previous patterns a lot of times. So something that ended up happening was they released class cubes as a part of the treasure shop in base game. Well, we've got the treasure shop again, and we've noticed that recently, if you're paying attention to the treasure shop, it has changed. They've actually added in music to the treasure shop recently. So I can very much see a situation where the regular treasure shop has class cubes in it as well. Now, I would implore people to just run yellows, because realistically speaking, you don't need to worry too much about your subclass optimization. Getting it to level 30, even getting it to level 50 to get 2 rolls is super easy. You don't have to do it immediately, and realistically speaking, getting at least a baseline of level 10 on all of your classes is still incredibly strong. Now, I can understand and sympathize with some people, because I'm gonna be honest, Fighter, Braver are mandatory almost to unlock and get to 60. You really want good rolls with both of those classes. It's crit chance and crit damage, which, as we all know, is going to be a thing. Like, we've been waiting for it to pop up and see when it's going to show up, and now with add-on skills, we know it's going to be a thing. It's going to be very popular. It's going to be very powerful. So I think they're almost going to be forced to, because a lot of players don't want to play those classes. They don't want to level them. And I totally understand not wanting to level them. All I want to play is Bouncer, but I also like to optimize. So everything's going to be 60. Definitely those 2 classes, like mandatory Fighter and Bouncer, or Fighter and Braver are going to be capped, because I have to roll those cubes to get, as close as I can to my plus 20s. Not everyone can be super lucky and get their plus 20 cough, cough, Caro, cough, cough, non. Anyway.
All right, fair enough. Listen, I rolled 360 times, okay? It was no small feat. It took a while to get to my plus 20, but I got
I'm still
there.
rolling at like 300 plus.
Yeah, I saw Mark was actually streaming yesterday. He's rolled 700 times on his force, and he's still at 19. It's so bad.
Now, just as like kind of a follow-up, because I'm sure people will see this and it heads into like one of my videos that's going to come out relatively soon, depending on when this comes up. You don't really need past plus 18. Like, unless you're hardcore, like, I need to be the best absolute no matter what's going on, 17, 18 is pretty comfy to just chill at. So if you're there and you feel like you're not getting anywhere, do just chill out. Like, do a random roll every once in a while, save your sanity. The most important thing is to just get them all. Like, you just want all of them. The tribe boost is awesome. Your primary power is going to be great. Like, just get that taken care of. Honestly, I'd say if you're running Belgrins, the resistances are worth more, because I don't get frozen in a single hit anymore, which is huge. Like, it's super good.
For sure. So the next thing I want to talk about is skulls. From all the add-on skills, what do you think are the most essentials for you? Because Chrono said already, Braver and Fighter, crit chance, crit damage. Those are definitely essentials. But other than that, is there anything else that piques your interest?
Yeah, definitely the Frost. For me, it's PP recovery. And now that I'm going to be a Waker main, I think I'm really focused on health too, like HP. Because now that it's naturally higher, I do want to push it a little bit more so I can kind of have a safety net with how my playstyle is kind of changing a little bit.
Yep, pretty much. I'm in the same boat. So being able to roll HP as a substat is not that difficult, especially now since we have the level 3 one, which does cost a little bit. It's 50,000 Meseta per roll, but it guarantees you at least a level 10, which is 10 HP per class. So that adds up to quite a bit. That's 90 HP if you get it on every single class. But on top of that, several things that I've noticed that I really like is, for example, the Bouncer. The Bouncer, the main stat for that, allows you to regenerate PP while you're running around and dashing and gliding. Like, that was...
I love that.
That was something we wanted since, like, day one. We were just like, why is this a thing? Yep. Where's our regen? Sure, it's, it's a little bit convoluted, but to get it, but it's fine, it's in the game, you can get it now. So I'm happy that's in. Another priority for me is, of course, going to be the Waker main class, because that gives you the 20 PP if you get it to level 20. The Hunter gives you 5% melee potency, and like I think it's Gunner as well as Force gives you like the other 2 different potencies. So that's pretty nice.
It's Ranger and Force.
Oh, Ranger and Force. There we go. Thank you. But yeah, it's just really nice. I feel like it adds something for people to chase. Even though sure it requires you to max out all the classes and stuff, but it gives you a reason to actually do it now. Like, the reason why I never played any of the other classes or leveled any of the other classes after Alio was because I was just like, no, screw it. Why should I do it? I don't get anything out of it. But now with the whole add-on skill thing, it's like, all right, fine, I'll do it. I'll suffer through this pain, but there's a good payoff at the end, so it's worth it. And so overall, I'm pretty happy with the add-on skills. Was there anything else you wanted to add?
It's like, it's not even painful either, too. Like, it's really comfortable. Like, you don't really have to worry too much about running it consistently. Yellow trigger, it also technically gives yellow triggers a value, because before they had almost none. People didn't care about leveling extra stuff because your subclass didn't do anything. Like, it didn't matter what level your subclass was, you just got all the skills and everything you needed from it anyway. People got their subclasses to 55 because it was a byproduct of just having it equipped. The people that were super anal about it and wanted to make sure that their class was all capped, yeah, they got theirs to 60, but realistically, before this, there was no reason to level any other class but the class you were going to play, and that was it. You could have everything else be stuck at 1 and have the exact same amount of power. So it does provide a bit more value to yellow triggers that didn't exist before. And let me tell you, they're probably going to need a bit more value for a while, because there are other things now that have been nerfed as far as farming that people aren't going to be able to make as much money off of anymore.
For sure. Before we start transitioning over to the next topic, was there anything else that you wanted to add or that I might have missed, Skulls?
No, I think we're good.
All right, perfect. So we're moving over to the Augment Exchange. They recently did a huge overhaul. That's actually today's video for me. We look into the level 2 capsules to level 3 capsules. For all the souls, they only require 4 of each one, right? So for example, if I want to make a Frostal Soul 3, I only need 4 Frostal Soul 2s in order to make it. However, on top of that, the Deafness capsules, you can use any capsule to make Deafness 3 now. So any level 2 capsule, any level 1 capsule can be exchanged into level 3 stat, for example, like Might 3 and all of that, or for Deafness 3 and all of that. And so this has pretty much crashed the market as well as killed off deafness farming in general. So I want to direct this question to Skulls first, because I know you did a lot of deafness farming with Fresh and other content creators on stream. Like, is this a big blow to what you like to do, or are you like, meh, whatever?
So, yeah, me and Fresh do deafness farming every Sunday. And at first, when it changed, because I've been prepared for it to change, but I just did not expect them to do that to deafness at all. As soon as it changed, I was really frustrated, because building like dev techs and stuff like that, that was a big money maker for me, because they were almost like $1 million per augment when it wasn't even like people weren't gearing that heavy. So I thought that I was going to make more money now, and it actually went backwards. But when I think about it, I'm still going to do the farm. It's just going to be less full rooms. It's going to be one of those things, because like farms are always pretty trendy. Like dread farming and ancient farming and things like that, like they go away after a while. So, I mean, it was only expected if you really think about it.
Okay. So I have a question regarding the farming session, because I feel like that the whole thing about bringing people together, farming together, doing activities together was a good thing, right? It was definitely a positive vibe to get everyone together, especially on Ship 3 and Ship 4. It was especially noticeable because the communities are smaller there. Yeah. But since they've done this whole system change, do you guys think that, okay, maybe instead of deafness farming, you guys are just going to go for quote-unquote capsule farming, basically? Because you can literally use any capsule, right? Like your pain wards, which you never use. What do you foresee as the new strategy or the new hot thing for farming now?
Hopefully not captain farming. But I think Lost Central kind of messed that up a little bit. I think people are going to still capsule farm, but it's going to change. It's definitely going to change. You still get pretty good stuff, and it's still better to not have to build a deafness one, because you're still using minerals and you're still going to run out of those at some point. So it's still better to get them as a drop. But I don't know where it's going to change. I feel like people may start farming in combat zones again, because you're farming for drops and capsules. and you'll get the capsules you need to build deafness if you want to do it that way.
For sure, for sure. Something that's always bothered me about combat zones, I'm just like you, Skulls. I love combat zones. It is my jam. But there's something that has always bothered me about the combat zones, and that is the limitation of 8 players only. The thing I really enjoyed about the exploration zones, it's because you have 32 players. It's a huge, big community type of thing, and you can have everyone in the exploration zone together farming. The experience is totally different versus the combat zone experience, where it's like a small, intimate group, right? And that's something that has always bothered me a little bit. I would like to see something similar to like a large-scale combat zone. The gorge, the gorge is such good potential, if there was something to do there, like, other than
some
farming.
Ease there.
Exactly.
Give us some yellow ease.
Yeah, exactly. Just make it into a combat zone, a 32-man combat zone with the ancient spawn or something. I think that would be really, really nice. But, I've left out Chrono in the cold for quite some while, so Chrono, what about your take? What do you think about all of this?
I mean, I can be the villain of the situation. A lot of people are happy deafness farms are gone, but reality, those people didn't farm deafness. What people are happy about is that everything's cheaper now. And as someone who plays a ton of MMOs, what you end up finding out is the farm that no one wants to do is the one that's the most lucrative. So yeah, cool. It's really great that everyone can get a hold of deafness like a lot easier. Yeah, it gives a lot of life to other capsules that you didn't use for anything, realistically speaking. But all that being said, you killed a really good farm for a lot of people. And it was a farm that was super useful, not only for farming deafness, because everyone realistically needed it. With the weapons going the route they have been going to 50% on the variants, which is insane on the low end, you really needed to have access to that floor potency, pushing it higher to make it really viable. I mean, we all have, if you guys have started paying attention to your damage whenever you're using your Kaiser, you'll start to see that, like, when you don't crit and a low roll on some big hits, it's noticeable. Like, my big hits have gone from like 7k all the way up to 14. Like, it's almost double damage in some situations. It's kind of crazy. But it's kind of like a mixed bag. It's good because people are able to get a hold of stuff now, but it's bad because people are making less money. And realistically speaking, there's just going to be the next farm that no one wants to do that's going to be just as good. And Skulls mentioned it, and honestly, I feel like it's the only one that's there. It's going to be captain farming. Masteries are going to be worth money. That's all there's to it. And the less people want to do it, the more it's going to be useful, because eventually people are going to use it. They're just not going to farm it themselves. And hate to say it, that's the case in every single game. Now, there's a very, very small chance this pops up again, and this is kind of like where the magic of like base PSO2 divide quests were. If they could create, like, similar to what you guys were asking about, like a combat zone, somewhere that people can jump into and just start farming, that also drops decent stuff, that drops it just rare enough that it's still worth money, but at the same time you have to, like, it's not something you have to go out there and set up specifically for the community, that you can just jump in and jump out very easily. That would be the sweet spot in farming. But as long as farming requires a lot of communication, it requires very niche setups, it stays very trendy, the things that are worth a lot of money are going to stay worth a lot of money because it's a pain to put together. Realistically, I really hope they do something with the Gorge. Like, actually, it's kind of the best setup they could possibly have, because not only are the enemies level 64, people need to fight Ancients to be able to get what they want for their Kaiser weapons. High-level enemies will have drops. The possibility of ruggeds could exist. I mean, like, everything is basically the perfect storm. Like, you even are forced into having to make sure that you have, the decold stuff, right? Like, having the proper resistance to even be in there in the first place. It's all the perfect storm for a great area. They just have to edit what drops there just a little bit to make people want to, like, make that their number one farm. As long as it's not, it's gonna, like, things that you can do easily are not going to be worth anything, and things that you really don't want to do are going to continue to be worth a ton.
Yep, I totally agree with what you've said. To be honest, I feel like Sega already has that in the pipeline. Because did you notice with the whole Alliance ranking system that you can actually see the rankings from like last week, even though it wasn't even implemented yet into the game? it's kind of weird
Oh, yeah.
how they did that. I feel like they have all the systems in place. They're just slowly drip feeding, and they're just like making sure that everything is actually up to snuff before they implement it onto the live servers. And actually, while we're talking about the whole alliance thing, Skulls, how is your alliance doing on ship 3? Are you guys in the silver ranks, or how are you guys doing?
I don't even think we're doing, but we're working on that. We're very casual when it comes to doing things. So, like, I feel like our alliance is very, like, we hang out and we chit chat. And then, yeah, when we want to grind, we do. We just have to kind of have a focus, but we're not really doing much as far as that right now.
Fair enough. I actually feel like ship 4 and ship 3 have like another reason why people should join those ships now, because it's so much easier to get into the top 30, which is the silver rank, right? So since there's less competitiveness, there's less alliances fighting for these slots, it's a lot easier to obtain it. Like on ship 2, my alliance, we're right there. We're at the cusp of getting into the top 30. So we're still bronze right now. We literally needed like 8 more points or something, and we would be at the silver rank. So I think we'll probably get there. Hopefully we get to the silver ranks, but there's no way in heck we're going to be competing with the gold rank, because like you're looking at all the really hyper competitive alliances with their like 500 points or something. You're just sitting there going like, oh my gosh, we barely broke like 200 points. We're like at 120 points or something. So there's no way we're getting to the top ranks. But I feel like that is something that people might want to look into, because as they're picking a ship to play or like a server to play on, each server has their unique characteristics, which is the next subject that I want to flow into. So, we're just going to start off with ship 1, right? So, Chrono, you played on ship 1 for quite some time before you transferred over. Like, can you tell me what is the general vibe of that ship?
Ship 1 is a giant group of solo players. Not in a bad way. Players do a lot of, like, really pushing content as much as they possibly can in a lot of situations, or at least the ones that I've personally like worked with. Really the only alliance I can even think of when I think of ship 1 are 2 primarily. It's Night Arks and the Hidden Leaf Alliance, and that's primarily for Night Arks with trying to push top ranks. Like, I'll be honest with you guys, if anyone's doing the whole alliance the alliance rankings things, good luck against Night Arks, because it's always been the case. That's been the case since JP back on ship 2. And as far as cosplays go, it's always Hidden Leaf Alliance. But it's definitely a vibe of like, you have people around you, but like it's not always very social consistently. At least not outwardly social like in Say Chat. It's mostly between just alliances themselves or small groups of people talking on their own. It's a very big like don't bother anyone else vibe most of the time, which for some people is exactly where they want to be. If there's enough people around, it's awesome. My primary reason for leaving ship 1 was that my friends I used to hang around with all the time, like 80 to 90% of them were gone. There's still a couple of us around here and there, but like it just wasn't enough to feel like I was surrounded with people consistently to make that solo player mentality not feel like so empty all the time. Which is why I ended up moving over to ship 2. But it wasn't a bad vibe. It was cool. It was actually one of the better ships to be on when I wanted to purchase fashion, which was nice, because things tended to be a bit on the cheaper side most of the time. Though when it came to optimization, things I wanted to buy, like really good capsules, really strong weapons, there wasn't really a hiccup of understanding what's worth what over there. People, if something went too low, they bought it and reposted it. And it was something that happened pretty regularly because people knew how to make money all the time. So it was a bit more competitive on that aspect, most of the time at least.
For sure. Just to clarify to the audience, we are talking from our personal experience on each ship. What we're saying in this podcast does not dictate what that ship is actually like, because we can only speak from first-hand experience. That's just the disclaimer, putting that out there. Now, with that being said, Skulls, what about your experience on ship 1?
It's been fun so far. So actually, I had a really social experience. Every time I've gone on a new ship, I kind of do a debut stream of me being on that ship and playing on that ship. so people can like meet up and stuff like that. And like that was the biggest debut that I've had. Like there were so many people just like dancing around me and adding me and like just like welcoming me into the game. So that was a really cool experience. Ever since then, I've really only been playing with my friend Alex. And then like I've been playing with Nova too, trying to level. So I haven't done enough to really have like a good opinion of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a fair enough assessment. So from my personal experience, I think ship 1 is the most vanilla ship. So basically, you're going to be able to experience the general MMO experience. You're going to go in, you've got the scalpers, you've got the market manipulators, you've got the trolls, you've got the weebs, and then you've got the tryhards. And, you know, it's a very traditional MMO experience. There's nothing too crazy going on. And personally, I think for most people, if you're just looking for an average experience, ship 1 is pretty safe to go to. There's nothing too crazy about it. Personally, I went into ship 1 without announcing anything, without telling people that, hey, I'm going to be playing on ship 1, because I wanted like the raw experience, like what people would actually feel like, and not the content creator's perspective. Because I know when I went to ship 4, I made a big announcement and I tried it, and you know, the experience was vastly different than if I just went in solo, low-key, you know, not telling anyone about it. And overall, I feel ship 1 is pretty much what Chrono said. You know, it's a big mass of solo players, but when the time arises or when it's needed, people will band together and work together. For me, the greatest times or the most fun that I had on ship 1 was during the big content drops. Whenever there was a big update, everyone would log on, and then everyone had the same common goal of like, yo, we want to do the new content, let's go. And so since everyone had the same mind or same goal, we were all working towards the same thing. And that way it just felt like, even though we're all solo individuals, we were all working towards a common cause. And that was probably the most fun that I had on ship 1. But, you know, was there anything else that you wanted to add about ship 1, Chrono or Skulls?
Ship 1 is, I know I said a lot of like not super positive stuff about ship 1. I love ship 1. I played on ship 1 back in base game. It was the first ship I rolled on when beta on the Xbox came out, and because I couldn't get back into the ship, I actually ended up going to ship 2. And it was, well, actually I think it was reversed. So I think I went to ship 2, then went to ship 1. But either way, it was a great ship to be on. It was a lot of fun. I had a great time over there. It wasn't a bad thing there were a bunch of solo players. The social aspect of the game definitely existed. It just wasn't public. It was very private. People just talked in alliance chats and group chats. So if you're going over there, it's definitely a safe ship to run over to, in my opinion. Like if you honestly, Karo said it best. If you want the vanilla experience, go ahead and go to ship 1. It has just about everything at a moderate amount. And yeah, when new content pops off, it pops off big. It's really fun. It's a great time. But people also respect their time. So when nothing's going on ship 1, or nothing's going on in the game, there's nothing going on ship 1 really either. So just keep that in mind.
Mm-hmm. Perfect.
Their cosplay. Ugh.
Okay, yeah, go ahead. Gush about the cosplay. How is it?
It's so good. Like, I think they have the biggest cosplay group in the game, and that's like Hidden Leaf Alliance.
That's Cosplay Alliance.
Yeah, like what they do is amazing. Like the accuracy in their cosplays, I don't even know if I can explain it. Like you just have to see pictures somewhere.
For sure. Being a judge of that fashion contest, you definitely saw some really, really crazy outfits that were really good.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think 2 out of the 3 winners were from ship 1.
I think so.
Sasuke won. He was Hidden Leaf.
Yep.
Yep. And then Sora.
Moving on, though, to ship 2, which is my home ship. I'm just going to start off with First Blood over here. So I personally picked ship 2 because I like the number 2. That was literally the only reason why I picked ship 2 2 years ago on PSO2. Because I was just like, you know, it's my favorite number. I'm just going to pick it. And who knew that everyone else just kind of jumped on the bandwagon and also joined ship 2. I know there's a history, you know, on the JP server. Ship 2 was the English speaking server, and of course, you know, that played a much bigger part of why people join Ship 2. But from my experience, Ship 2 is definitely the try-hard ship. If you want to find the most people who are min-maxing, which are learning animation cancels, looking at frame data, spreadsheets, all of that junk, Ship 2 is definitely the place that I would recommend people to go, because it's ultra competitive. People care about the smallest things, you know? It's like, oh man, my geometric labyrinth run was 1 second faster than you, thus I am superior. Bow down to me. You know, you've definitely got that type of vibe in Ship 2. But, you know, I'm not saying that everyone is like that. It's just a large majority of players are ultra competitive. And it's perfectly fine to pick Ship 2 if you're not ultra competitive. Because, like, my alliance, you know, we're just a bunch of derps, you know, we're just messing around. we don't take anything seriously. Our alliance points, you know, I would like to get gold, but I know for a fact that we'll never get there because none of us can stay committed. And it's perfectly fine, right? But Ship 2 is the largest ship. We have the most active players, and thus I feel like it does affect the economy, right? The economy is definitely, in my opinion, one of the most stable economies across compared to all the other ships, simply because we have more players farming everything, and it's just a lot harder to manipulate a market if you got so many people and so many items just, you know, flooding the market. So overall, I think Ship 2 is by far my favorite ship because, you know, you just got a lot of people. You can definitely go in as a solo player, just pug everything, farm everything that you need, and you'll have a good time. That's my experience. But Skulls, I want to ask, what's your experience?
I feel like, not in a bad way, Ship 2 is kind of sweaty. So, like, yeah, people are, like, really serious about what they do on Ship 2. When it comes to, like, farms or, yeah, times with things, like, yeah. So, that's pretty much my experience with it. I just kind of, like, chill. So I don't play on there super often, but it is, like, the second most played ship for me. But yeah, I just kind of go in for social things like that.
Are you scared of Ship 2 sometimes because of just how sweaty people are?
No, because I'm there to have fun. Like, I want to do well, but I'm there to have fun. I know my gear's probably not the best. Like, it's pretty good right now, but like, it's not like my character on Ship 3. So, like, I know where I stand on that ship. I think that's what the difference is.
Okay, fair enough. And then Chrono?
So it's a tough situation to be in, but Ship 2 is what I would call like the solo player's paradise. Yeah, it's sweaty. People do a lot of min-maxing. Where Ship 1 is a lot of quiet solo players, Ship 2 is the opposite. They're loud. You will find groups for stuff. You can just jump into anything and you're good to go. When there's a content drought, the best ship to be on, in my opinion, is Ship 2, because 1, there's the most players, and 2, people are just doing, like, that's the time they're like, oh, I've got to get my good solo purple Kavaris trigger time. I got to get my good geometric labyrinth time, which, like, no one does, but Ship 2 does. So it's a situation where, for me, it's probably my favorite ship. Now, to give a little bit of background, Caro did mention, you know, that, you know, Ship 2 is probably popular because of, you know, its history and JP and things like that. It goes a little further than that as well. There was also like a big migration of players forced into Ship 2 because of issues with Ship 1 right during the beta, where Ship 1 was the first ship to open, and then it got so full to the point where no one could get in and they had to open Ship 2, like it was forced, or players wouldn't have been able to play during the beta. That forced a lot of players over to Ship 2. And a lot of content creators went to Ship 2 as well. If you guys are familiar with Final Fantasy 14, players like Mr. Happy and some other people went over there because realistically that's where they fit, and that was the whole, like, yeah, and this was also the ship that everyone played on JP, so it kind of had both of those things going for it, and it's kept and maintained this entire time. It does have one of the best markets. It is very stable, and it's been the place I've had the most fun, like working with people that are like trying to optimize. Some of the best players I've ever played with are on Ship 2, and like, not to say that Ship 1 has bad players. I know a lot of really, really good players. Probably one of the best forces I've ever played with in the entire game is on Ship 1. But like, really, really good bouncers, really good, you know, fighters and bravers are all here on Ship 2, and I'm learning a lot from them. So it really feels like the solo player's heaven, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Yep, for sure. You know, I don't really think there's much else to say other than, you know, Ship 2 is definitely a safe bet as well. But just know that if you are joining Ship 2, that a lot of players are going to be, going in with the hyper competitive mentality. As Chrono said, during the lull periods where there's a content drought, you'll definitely see a lot of people like predicting, like, oh, what is going to be the next big thing? What does the market, what do players want to buy? And they're going to start farming for that specific item, so that when we do get a huge content, drop, they're immediately making, hundreds of millions of Meseta, because they're like, yo, market, I've got everything you want. Here we go. You got to pay up for it, though. And that's definitely going to be a thing that happens a lot on Ship 2. Because, people find things to do. People are hardcore, dedicated PSO2 fans on Ship 2. That is definitely a thing. But, was there anything else that you wanted to add, Skulls, regarding Ship 2?
Not really. Like, I feel like every time I've been on Ship 2, I just, kind of jump in. We kick ass at something and then I jump out. So, yeah, it definitely is the more hardcore ship. And I feel like it's its own vibe in a way.
No problem. We're going to jump into something you're super comfortable on. Ship 3, Skulls, take it away.
We're like the party ship, I guess. We're always just like, a lot of us are lobby rats. I can't sit still that long, but I am a bit of a lobby rat when I'm like AFK or I'm working on other things. We have impromptu dance parties. Now that we've been having more players, though, I notice people are getting a bit more serious as far as like farming and things like that. Like, you'll find a room for pretty much anything at this point. And that was a big issue we had before. You would try to do, like, let's say older combat zones or anything, and you can't find a room. Like, you're starting a new room. And now, like, there's a room everywhere. So people are just kind of all over the place, but people are pretty much doing everything. And we're the fashion ship. We take fashion very seriously. We have a cafe and we do like regular like fashion walks and things like that, like runway shows and photo shoots and stuff.
All right, fair enough. What about your experience, Chrono?
Ship 3 is a screenshot ship. Most time I've ever been sent screenshots, it's from Ship 3. But no, I mean, like, it's a very, I don't know if this is the right word for it, but it's like a homey ship. Like, it's one of the ships that, like, anytime I've been out there, people have made it a point to stop. Like, I think it's only gonna be people that live in the US that, like, recognize this sort of thing. It's kind of like Southern hospitality sort of ship. Like, people just wave to wave. They're not just like, all to themselves. They stop, they say hi. It's very much like a very say chatty ship. It's the one ship I can go to, and I know if I walk into either the casino in base game, or if I walk into the hot springs in Kavaris, there's always someone there no matter what block I'm on. It's actually impossible to not have someone around there. It does have its, its hardcore players, but they feel, I'm not sure if tribal is the right word. They're very like close knit. It's definitely a lesser population, so it feels like it needs to be that sort of way. But it's definitely a cool ship to go to. If you want more of that feel, but it's also a great ship to go to also if you want to be a bit more competitive and not fall into where everyone else is on Ship 2. I think it's kind of like the second best ship to drop into in that situation, because I know there's a lot of people that might be showing up, with the release we have coming at the end of this month, that already have like a full group of friends that want to play, right? So I feel like if you're in that category of people, like you have a whole entire group of friends you're going to play with, or like say you're an alliance that came over from JP and you've just been waiting to play on PS4, because there's a lot of people that have been waiting for that. Ship 3 might be like your second best, like might be one of your best locations if you're trying to go for that competitive set, but you still want that like southern homey sort of feel.
Yeah, just from streaming, I've had a few people say that them and their friends are going to play on 3 just from watching us just like hang out and do stuff, and then see us like go and like farm for a couple hours, and then like go and like chill in the lobby for like an hour, stuff like that.
The way that I saw Ship 3 was basically, I had the same experience when I went to Napa Valley for the very first time. Because I'm so used to New York where everyone just minds their own business, Everyone's just like, I got to go from point A to point B the fastest as I can. You get out of my way. I don't bother you. You don't bother me, right? I'm very used to that type of social circles. And so when I went to Napa for the very first time, I got so confused when some guy walking his dog was just like, yo, good morning. I was like, oh shit, what did I do wrong? What does he want? I just flipped out. And that was the same reaction I had when I was on ship 3. That I made my character. I literally got in the first hour of just like leveling. And like, I bumped into like 7 people that were just like, yo, what's up? I was just like, what on earth is going on? Why are people saying hi to me? Like, it just felt really foreign to me. But, you know, I definitely get that vibe. Everyone is very friendly on Ship 3. You know, I can't speak for everyone, but a lot of players on Ship 3 are super, super friendly, super nice. And, you know, they just want to chat with you. You know, they're just saying, hi, what's up? You know, what you doing? You know, do you need any help? They're super friendly, super helpful in that sense, which definitely is going to be a huge advantage if you're a new player jumping in, you don't know what to do. You know, if you try to do the same approach on ship 2, you know, you're gonna get silence. No, like, most people are just gonna be like, this guy's weird, he's talking to me, oh, scary.
Yeah, I know that from experience. I'm like, hey, and they're like,
I think ship 2 is the one, like, I don't want to say ship 2 specifically, maybe ship 1 more so, would be the ship that, like, you run up to someone and try to talk to them, and if they don't want to talk to you, like, welcome to their blacklist. Because they're just going to think that you're going to try to talk to them a bunch, and they don't want to hear you in most situations, which isn't super terrible all the time. Like, I've told people, like, use your blacklist if you need to, man. Like, it's totally fine. But yeah, ship 3 is definitely, like, I want to say hi to people as I walk past. If you're not used to that, it's going to be a bit of culture shock for you, because that's what happens. Like, I honestly get recognized more on ship 3 than I do on ship 2 most of the time, but that also has to do with the fact there are like 50 chronos on ship 2. I'm not sure why, but there's like so many less on ship 3. People recognize me a lot faster over there than anywhere else.
I think ship 3 is definitely, as Chrono said, it's a great place to go if you have your group of friends already. So like, if you have an established group of friends that are all planning to drop into NGS together, ship 3 is a very good place to drop, or even ship 4. And the reason for that is because since there's less players, it's going to be a lot easier to get your alliance rank into like the silver tier. And that's going to be one of the biggest advantages of the smaller ships, or I guess ship 3 counts as a medium-sized ship. But other than that, you know, I want to ask Skulls about the market situation. How is the market on ship 3?
you know, people complain about the market on ship 2, but like the market on ship 3 is exactly the same. There are times where things are drastically lower, but honestly, it's not that often. Most of the time, things are the same price there. Now, with everything kind of changing, I feel like ship 3 kind of does have a hard time getting to like a stable place with the market, but when things are back to normal, it's pretty much the same.
Mm-hmm. And what about fashion items in particular? Since ship 3 is quote-unquote considered the fashion ship, is there price discrepancies in fashion for ship 3 versus the other ships?
Nah, not really. If anything, fashion's always fairly priced on ship 3. I think everyone is like, I understand that it should be worth this amount, but like also like do your thing. We want you to wear it so we can all like hang out and look at each other's fashion. So I think there's that level with respect as far as pricing. Now, sometimes if there's things that are really rare, like a certain set of balloons, those will be overpriced, but that's about it.
Fair enough, fair enough. I think that's one of the golden rules in NGS. If the outfit is lewd, it is going to sell for a lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
No matter what, booba sells.
Yep, indeed.
I would say the only discrepancy really, though, was like base game. Because ship 3 and 4 came later. And because those ships came later, there were certain things that just didn't exist. Since NGS, ship 3 and 4 were around, like, they don't have to worry about that. I would say, if anything, like, if you go into ship 3's base game, maybe you have some problems there. But outside of that, you'd be fine.
All right, so we're going to be moving on to ship 4. So, Skulls, I want your opinion on ship 4 first.
Ship 4, it gives me kind of the same vibe as ship 3 sometimes, except people like group up more to do things. It's a little harder to just like kind of be out and find people to do things with. Like people are really like, hey, we meet in the lobby, we're all gonna form a group and we're gonna do things like all day long. But it is really friendly. Everyone's nice. literally, I'm AFK in that ship right now, and about 2 minutes ago, everyone was spamming the all chat with just blank. So, like, it's weird sometimes, but it's a lot of fun.
And in Chrono, I know you haven't had a lot of experience on Ship 4, but what are your initial thoughts so far?
From what I've experienced, and I'm probably going to get some flack from Yosha from this one, Ship 4 feels like if homeschool kids got to go to a country club and they just had it to themselves.
My God.
They all just kind of show up together and do stuff, but like there's that level of weird that's almost like just fun and comical. It's a comfortable ship, straight up. Like it's a great place. It's probably like if you just want to go somewhere and be weird, Ship 4 I feel like is the best place to do it. It's like, again, it's my second, you have a bunch of friends together to play with, go to Ship 4. Like 3 and 4 are like the best ones to go to if you have all of your friends grouped together to go to. It's just one of those vibes that honestly, like, it's fun, like just hanging out. And it's probably one of my most fun ships, just hang out in the lobby and like not really know anyone, because like Skulls mentioned, like people are spamming blank. It's the most place I've seen stickers used, like actually like actively used great stickers, like people saying, oh, I'm out of rest or reverser signs, or like I'm dead, res me, and things like that. It's probably the place I've seen that happen the most. However, it's also the ship I've had the least experience with, so it could just be like my personal take on the ship, like this is what I've seen so far and I haven't seen the other stuff. But like, yeah, I haven't really been able to get anything done like solo without paying attention. Usually it's just like grouping happening, and people seem to be a lot more nicer about grouping over there as well. Like you can go to a town and just spam what you're trying to do, and usually you'll find some people around trying to do the same thing.
Just to let the audience know, Ship 4 is the smallest ship. It has the least amount of players. However, from my personal experience, I really enjoy playing on Ship 4. As a lot of people know, I call it my home away from home. So when I'm done with everything on Ship 2, I will always hop onto Ship 4 and just have a good time. However, there is a caveat to Ship 4, and that is you need to step out of your comfort zone to join a community or an alliance of some sort. I feel like if you are a solo player, Ship 4 is definitely not for you. Because since the player base is so much smaller, it's very difficult to just go in and find a random pug group to do combat zones or to do deafness farm or even like urgent quests and stuff like that. It takes a much longer time for the system to just find other players because most people are doing activities together. So if you are a solo player or if you plan to play this game solo, I definitely would recommend one of the bigger ships such as Ship 1 or Ship 2 because you're going to have a much better time because simply there's just more players, more solo players on those ships. But regarding what Chrono said, I do agree that Ship 2 kind of feels like it's all the Zoomers. Like, to be very frank, like, I'm a boomer. So when I go into Ship 2, there's a lot of slang and there's a lot of stuff that I don't really understand. And people talk a lot, like a lot on Ship 4. And so if you're not used to that, you might find that irritating or annoying. But, at the very beginning, I was very overwhelmed. I was like, what on earth is this ship? Like, it just looks like spam to me. But over time, I got used to it, and I was like, okay, they're just messing around. This is just the vibe of Ship 4. And, I definitely like the vibe on Ship 4. People are definitely very, very friendly on Ship 4. And since the community is so small and so tight-knit, it's very easy to weed out bad actors. Like, the moment you see someone that's just being a total dick, like, they get blacklisted, blocked, deleted, whatever. And usually within a month, that player transfer ships and just leaves the ship because nobody wants to play with them. And so that's definitely an advantage on Ship 4 if you just want to have a good time. Maybe you just, again, like as Chrono said, you have your group of friends and you just want to have fun. Ship 4 is definitely a great place for that. But again, the solo experience is pretty awful there from my personal experience.
Yeah, I mean, that's actually something you kind of have in Ship 3 as well. With them being slightly smaller ships, 4 being the smallest, of course, the benefit is that people ostracize bad behavior. Like, you're not going to get away with just being a dick. And if that's who you are, and that's kind of like you like trolling around, that's like how you have your fun, you can go to those ships. They're just not going to communicate with you. Nothing you do is going to work because, I mean, most people that want to be like that, they're looking for the reaction. And those players are just going to blacklist you, man. Like, it's not going to get anything done. So if you want to avoid that sort of behavior, even that sort of possibility with your group of friends, maybe, you know, you've got some friends that just really don't respond well to that sort of thing, Ship 4 might, like, be the home for you. And anytime that I've ever been around, like, anytime I've ever been around, like, their weird conversations, it's always been funny. Like, it's never been like, it's, you know how sometimes conversations will get kind of weird and like they go the wrong direction. It has never done that on Ship 4 for me. It happens on Ship 2 occasionally. Sometimes you're like, all right, guys, we're not here anymore. Like, I got to go fight something else, man. This is getting awkward. But like on Ship 4, it's always just been kind of funny with all the language, all of the like the stickers and everything. They're very quick adapters of the new stuff. So it's always been just a fun time.
Skulls, was there anything else you wanted to add?
Not really. I do need to play on Ship 4 more. Now that we're talking about it, I'm like, oh, I do really enjoy my experience there. So, yeah.
All right. So I'm going to throw Skulls into the hot seat right now, and I want you to rank the ship you play on the most to the ship that you play on the least. And on top of that, I want you to let the audience know what type of player would you recommend to join what type of ship.
I would say for sure my main ship is Ship 3. And again, that's for people who are really social, just like hanging out. Like, if you want to take the game seriously, yeah, you can, but you don't have to. And then after that is Ship 2, which was my second alt, or my first alt, that transferred from Ship 3. And yeah, I feel like that is for people who just kind of want to like go in and kick ass and like do stuff or grind for stuff. Like, but it does definitely have the solo vibe. And then I would say Ship 4 because it's also social and I really like the social ships. And then Ship 1, but I don't have a ton of experience on Ship 1, so that could always change over time.
Perfect. And then Chrono?
So ranking of how much I play on the ships isn't really indicative to how I feel about them, to be perfectly honest, because as we know, we want to play with certain individuals. So where I play has a lot to do with that. Ship 2, my number one ship, my home, like my original home back on JP, my home now here on Global. It just kind of covers a lot of great things for me. I get to be a solo player without having to feel like a solo player, which is the best type of solo player to be. It's where social interactions are forced on you. You don't have to start them, they show up, and you just get to react to them and just be around them, which is fun, honestly. Now, if you're someone who enjoys that sort of aspect of a game, Ship 2 is the ship for you. You get to be the tryhard, you get to go in and have the solo mentality, but you don't feel alone at any point in time because players are just going to force you into groups. How things are going to work out is going to happen. I think the most I've ever done urgent quests in a group has been on Ship 2 in NGS, and that's just being in the group that I'm in the group chats and things of that sort. Ship 3 is my second most played ship. Of course, that's playing with certain individuals itself. That's definitely the ship to go to if your primary goal is fashion and social like ties, but you also want to push a bit more content as well. Like, you still really want to still kick ass, but like it's a situation of like number 1 for you is fashion, number 2 is lobby rat, and number 3 is like being super strong. So Ship 3 I feel like is the best place for you to be in that situation. Or if you want to be like a competitive alliance, Ship 3 is a great place for that. Ship 1 is my next most played ship, and it's because I've been there for so long. If you want to be the solo player that just does not want to be bothered, if you don't really want those social aspects, like you have them outside of the game, you have them in tight-knit groups, you plan on playing with one alliance and only one alliance, you want to build one alliance and you only want to play with those guys, Ship 1 is the place to be. If you want to try to be the king, good luck. Ship 1 is going to be very competitive when it comes to alliances. I know that from firsthand. Night Arks has been killing it. The other aspect of Ship 1, if you want to join it, is if you want to join the best cosplay alliance in the entire game, in my opinion, because they've got a Hidden Leaf alliance. So if that's what you're looking for, best place to be. Ship 4 I have the least experience in, so of course that's my number 4. But if you're just looking for that weird vibe of having fun, you do want to, like, it's not saying that Ship 4 doesn't push content, they do, but you want to have like those social aspects, like you have your community you want to bring into the ship. Ship 4 is probably the best ship to do that at, because it does have the smallest population, and you have the least chance of having to deal with a bunch of annoyances that can mess up what you're looking to do. So I would say definitely ship 4 is a place to be in that situation. Or if you just like to laugh at funny social situations, even if you don't want to be a part of them, they're, again, much like ship 2, they'd come to you. Like, you're around them regardless of what you want to do. Even if you're an old man who feels like you're a boomer and you can't really get up with what the kids are saying nowadays, but you like to laugh from the corner, ship 4 is a fantastic place to be in those situations. The cut-ins, the stamp usage, it's all great. So I would say ship 4 is definitely the place to be in that case. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got for those.
All right,
I
perfect.
think you just called Kiro old.
I know, right? I
He is.
feel got shot fired. Oh, I'm bleeding.
He's a boomer. Ask Kara what time he goes to bed at night. You'll have your answer.
True. You got me. So for me personally, of course, ship 2 is my main ship. The thing that I like about ship 2 is, as Chrono said, I don't need to go out and look for groups. A lot of people will just reach out to me and be like, yo, we've played before, I've seen you in Dark Falls Rank 2 or in Purple Triggers or whatever. You're a solid player. And they will just reach out to you and be like, yo, you're a good player. You want to join us on this activity, XYZ? And so I don't need to initiate any conversations because people just approach me. Now, of course, this is creator bias as well, since I am a YouTuber, so there is some bias in that. But in the large majority, I feel like if you're a good player and people notice you being a good player, they will add you to their friends list, and when they're doing like hard content, they'll reach out to you and be like, yo, you're a solid player, join my group. And so that's really nice because, as Chrono said, it's the solo player experience, but you don't feel like a solo player, so it's kind of the best experience. That is my take on ship 2. It's the largest ship, so there's a lot of random people that you can just pug with, and the market's very stable there. So, it's a win-win-win overall, in my opinion. Ship 4 is my second most played ship. As Chrono said, there's a lot of Zoomers there. It's a lot of talk that I don't understand, but everyone's there to have a good time. There's very rarely will you meet someone that's there just to ruin your day. And if there is someone like that, they very quickly get blacklisted and you won't see them on the server in like a month. They're just poof, they're gone because they can't get anything done on that ship because they've been blacklisted by everyone. Now, of course, ship 4 is a smaller ship, so you do need to be social in order to fit into like an alliance or fit into a group of friends or whatever. If you're the solo type of player, ship 4 might not be the best fit for you because you'll have a lot of difficulty doing the harder content or doing group content or finding groups to farm for specific things. So just keep that in mind. Ship 1 and Ship 3, to be honest, it's a toss-up for me. I haven't been on Ship 1 ever since Kavaris was released. I've been playing Ship 3 a little bit recently. I think I'm like level 50 now on Ship 3. And, we'll talk about Ship 3 first, I guess. Ship 3 is very friendly. Stupidly friendly. Like, if you're the type of person that has like social anxiety and you're like super scared to reach out to people, or like if you say hi and someone's just like, what the fuck, and you get really hurt by that or something, I think Ship 3 might be a good place to go because 90% of the people are just really, really friendly. They're going to be, they're going to talk to you. They're going to initiate the conversation, no matter who you are, whether you're a casual player, hardcore player, whatever, they'll initiate the conversation. So it's a lot easier to talk to people. Ship 1, I haven't played there in a very long time. Personally, I think Ship 1 is, you mind your own business. It's New York. You mind your own business. You do your own thing. You've got your own small circle of friends or your small community, and everyone just minds their own business kind of thing. That was my experience in Ship 1 until a big content drop. When there's a big update, everyone, they don't care who the hell you are. They just need a body. They need you in their party to do XYZ. They're going to do it, right? Because there's new content. But the moment you hit a drought, Ship 1 is pretty empty when there's a drought. So that's my take. So, that's pretty much it. We've wrapped everything up pretty nicely. Is there any final thoughts that you have, Chrono?
Just to kind of pair it a little bit, you mentioned on Ship 1 at the end here. Ship 1 it's a really cool ship to be on. It's actually a ship that aligned a lot with the way I used to play, where they are very much like they don't care about who comes along with. Ship 1 is full of very confident players that they don't care how much damage you're dealing. Like, they feel like they'll be able to carry the run anyway in a lot of situations, which is fun to feel like you can do. So I did want to kind of toss that little edge on there. If you feel like, you're someone who does want to jump into the game, but you don't want to feel bothered with everyone, Ship 1's a pretty good place to be in those situations. Outside of that, all the new stuff we talked about, all the new content and everything else has been pretty cool. I'm actually been pretty, I want to say, content overall with everything I've seen so far. Waker's fun. The ships have their own vibe, which, even until today, like, I always kind of knew about them, but I never really thought about them in depth. And I feel like it's good to think about with a huge group of players, coming along with. I know some people are like, concerned overall, like, oh, PSO2's been out for so long and not everything has been smooth sailing. It's going to deter players. I think people really undervalue or underestimate how strong a free-to-play MMO is on a console. Players can just download it because they have one. The accessibility is nuts. So I'm really excited to see what that's going to do, and I'm really excited to see what's going to do to the dynamic of the ships.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. Skulls?
Okay. Well, I kind of want to go back to the Waker class. I do feel really happy with the state of Waker right now. I'm excited to see in the future when they do more balancing and things like that, what they're going to do with Waker. Now, as far as like the ships go, I've noticed that Ship 3 has been kind of growing a lot. So the vibe has been changing, and like our community and a lot of the creators are starting to get together, and we have a lot of plans to do things with the community. So like we all said, if you have friends and you want to play on Ship 3, like, we're trying to make that easier for you and your friends to have more to do and to be easily involved in community things. And that's about it.
In conclusion, pick whatever ship the heck you want. I ain't gonna stop you, but hopefully this podcast has helped you make a better idea of what ship you want to pick, since all the information that we have given is first-hand experience. It's not hearsay. We physically went onto that ship, we played it, and this is how we felt. But yeah, we're gonna be closing things up here. So Skulls, where can people find you? Do you have any socials, plugs, shoutouts? Floor is yours.
Yeah, you guys can find me on Twitch. I stream Wednesday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern time. I mostly play PSO. Sometimes I do bonus streams at night, and I'll throw in some other games or other fun stuff. We have just chill, comfy vibes. And I've been recently posting on YouTube. So my YouTube is youtube.com/kawaii skulls. Or I think you could just search Skulls Nightshade and you'll find it too. But that's about it. Oh, and on Twitter, if you want to see memes and pictures and stuff like that.
All right, cool. And Chrono?
You can always find me at twitch.tv/chronocatastrophe, youtube.com/chronocatastrophe, where I upload PSO2 videos, mostly just informational, toss in, hey, look, you should probably know about this or how to deal with this, so on and so forth. Streaming Thursdays and Mondays usually. Kind of drop back on the streaming schedule just a little bit to make sure that we're not neglecting YouTube as much as I have in the past. Don't worry, more videos to come. You can also find me over on Twitter at ZenChronos, because my name is way too long to actually fit. Gotta love that one. If you ever want to get if you ever want to get updates about the streams that go live, or if you just want to keep up with my day-to-day life, that's where you can probably find the most from me. Or of course, there's Discord links and things of that sort. You'll find all of those in all of those locations. So if you have one that you like more than the other, you don't need to go to all of them. You can just pick one, stick to that, and you're good to go. All of them get notified.
All right, perfect. So all of Skulls as well as Chrono's socials are going to be linked in the description below. So please make sure to go follow them, subscribe, whatever. Just click on their links. Special thanks to all the members for supporting the channel. It really means a lot to me. Thank you again. And that concludes this week's episode of Arks Trash. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you did, I would appreciate a like and a subscribe. And I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video. Bye.
What can I say except you're welcome? For the heals, the boosts, the